Hello, my very dear Leos. This is your reading for this week of December 8th, or when you hear it and it resonates. Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, or lots of Leo in your chart, or maybe not at all. So this is what I get. As I was sitting down before I started working with the cards, I heard the phrase, I can, but do I want to? And then what I was seeing as I was letting that just settle with the feeling, the quality that I was getting with that was that you are in a position right now, many of you Leos are in a position right now where you're looking at where you want to be, what you want to do, like what you really genuinely what you want to do. And within that, you're looking at the roles that you have, the roles you've taken on. For many of you, we're talking about family structures, romantic structures, but whatever structure we're looking at, and it could be work as well, like a professional kind of thing, or spiritual, in a spiritual community. But what we're really looking at is what roles you've taken on, what roles suit you, what roles suited you then but no longer suit you. And one of the things that dropped in as I pulled out one of these cards, it was the idea that many of the structures you have leaned into as being part of what creates your security and your safety has actually been built on you being the one creating it. So in fact, while it created a sense of security and the illusion that there were people there for you in the way you wanted them, that they were supporting you, in fact, a lot of times it was you putting the energy into that relationship that made it feel secure. It was really from you more than it was from anybody else or from the other people, which can lead sometimes to kind of like, oh, what a rude awakening. I thought I had this team behind me when in fact it was me generating the energy that kept the team together. And when I don't put that kind of energy into it, what's left? Now, this can happen really for any of us, and it can certainly happen even just within a single, one-on-one relationship, either friendship or romance, or a simple work partnership. But it's that sense that it only feels balanced when you are the one putting in all of the effort. It never really was balanced. It was really you putting in far more. And that when you stop it, the reality of what the connection is and what the support is now becomes evident. Okay? Now, the thing is, the card that comes up here is abandonment. And that was the very first card that came up. And I think the reason this is important is because I believe that many of the times when someone is, whether it's Leo or anybody else, when someone is creating a structure in order for them to be safe, it's because they have felt abandoned. And so what they're doing is they're creating almost like this security wall or this security cage around them. And when I say cage, I don't mean it in a bad way. It's kind of like, if you're training a puppy, you want to have their cage there. It becomes their comfort space that they go to. And that's kind of what it feels like with some of the Leos that I'm reading for now. Certainly the ones that seem to be coming through for information. So what Spirit is saying is, look at part of what's going to happen for you people who are looking at this as a way to restructure your lives into something that is less energy intensive on your behalf and more balanced, is that you're going to be looking at what some of your needs were, what some of your fears were around not having enough to survive. And that goes back to real basics, like being seen, being held, being fed. We're talking about things that happen at a very, very often pre-verbal level or in a very young child age. And that is that sense of not having enough, whether it's food, attention, love, presence, visibility, respect, whatever that was, that can leave a person feeling as though they really just don't have what it needs to survive in the world. And a lot of coping mechanisms can develop around that. So what you're being told here, Leo, is you might be getting in touch with some of those deeper needs that were not met, that have then been the motivation for creating certain structures that were designed to cause you to feel safe and secure and that like you had a community, when in fact it was you putting all the effort into maintaining the community fundamentally. And the interesting thing is that as I'm saying that, I'm getting this, and it's like, yeah, okay, of course. And that makes sense because, what was it? It gives you a sense of control. When you are the one putting the energy into it, as long as you're doing that, it gives you a sense of control, a sense of being able to manage it. Now, what this does is it's like hands off. When I take my hands off, what's the picture? Where do the pieces fall? When I'm not holding it all up, where does it all fall and land out? So this is where you get to really see who's there and in what way, and whether or not they're willing to change the dance with you. Because as we each change our roles in any given situation, it gives the other people involved an opportunity to change theirs too. Ideally, if both are interested in growing, then that's fantastic, because every shift in either one's sense of self creates the ability for the other person or the other people to also shift. It's like a wake-up call. So this is what we want. This is really what the whole point of so much of this self-work is that sense of let's expand beyond our defense mechanisms. Let's expand beyond our basic survival instincts so that we can move inward, so that we can have a quantum leap of faith and really make the choices to really see the things in us that we want to see more of in the world, where we really want to understand that sense of what it's like to be held and supported. The thing about abandonment, right, is when we are really connected to our deeper selves and when we are really connected to our sense of being divine beings, there is no sense of abandonment because we have the source within us. And that's what this will be for a lot of you. For some of you, it's going to be playing out more concretely in relationship. For some people, it's going to be playing out more at a psychological level where there is self-reflection and self-reflection and self-awareness happening as their process towards their inner sense of spirituality. Now, the first time a card fell out, and I put it back in case it came out again, and it did not. However, because it jumped out and is consistent with two other cards that I pulled afterward, I'm going to, and there you go, it's very similar. It was cognitive distortions. Now, the cognitive distortions card says, watch what you're saying, watch your words, and notice what they imply is a fact and a truth, when in fact it's just a feeling, or I won't call it a lazy way of communicating, but in a way it is. Because we'll often say, oh, I have nothing to eat, I have nothing to wear, I have nothing, that kind of thing. Or she always this, or he never does. We tend to speak in absolutes, when in fact, no, she's not always like that. Maybe she's always like that in certain situations, and maybe he never does that. Well, maybe he does once in a while, but not as much as I would like. I have nothing to wear. I really feel like I want something new to spice up my wardrobe. I have nothing to eat. I don't want to eat carbs anymore. I need some fresh vegetables. You see, all of those things put us in touch with what we are really feeling and what it is we are really wanting. Once we know what we're feeling and can make choices about that, what we can do is we can make the choices that are more in alignment with what is going to be suiting us in the moment, right? Not about, we're going to be making choices about fact as opposed to all of this loose thinking, fantasy kind of absolute, which is not the truth. Now, that was complicated, but I think you get what I mean. You're also being told here, you got the Quantum Leap of Faith card, which basically says, when you're doing things differently, which this will be for you, if you're looking at all of this stuff, the cognitive distortions that keep in place the old ideas about who you should be and what you need to be, the old ideas about what is safe, what's not safe, and how you control that and manage that. When you start looking at the cognitive distortions around that, when you start allowing yourself to notice every time you have positive thoughts or positive different kinds of thinking, that you shut it down and go back to another one. Notice that. Notice what your choices are. And instead of getting into the grumbly or fearful kind of mindset, allow yourself, yes, definitely take God with you. Remember the divine, the presence of the divine in you in all things. But also allow yourself to look at the choices and then say yes to the things that are positive. When you have the opportunity to be positive about something, be positive about it. You don't have to analyze it to the point that it becomes bad. You can just enjoy a moment of yes. And when you notice a sneaky thought coming in, go, And this is really very specifically what the cards are saying and what they're feeding me based on the cards, which is, remember that you have got many wonderful qualities that are not about being controlling. What about, and not just controlling, but being in control, because that can be something you value very greatly because you're good at it. But what about if you just sit back and you let yourself just allow every other good quality that you've got bubble up out of you and surround you and just be with you? It's literally like I'm seeing it almost as though the various different chapters in your life, the various different experiences in your life that you may have categorized according to this, this, and this, can you categorize them instead into authenticity, open-heartedness, self-love? Can you base your choices and your ideas on those three things rather than safety, in control, managerial? Can you look at different aspects and allow those things to really come up in you? You've got many more skills and gifts than you give yourself credit for in a whole other range of things than you have given yourself credit for. And it feels to me like this is a big part of what your spiritual path is right now, Leo, is really learning to lean into those things. And I'm going to read you the Quantum Leap of Faith card because I think it's so beautiful. This means that beyond logical expectation, beyond the linear projections of our minds, there is a place of free fall. Here you trust that what feels like leaping into the unknown void is really sailing on the winds of the infinite, unlimited benevolence, which will guide you wisely to your best and most graceful landing. Leos, whatever you're going through, this kind of time can be destabilizing because your challenging structures that you have in your life, many of which you've been really, really foundational in creating. But Leos, you have so much more than just that determination and that ability to manage and control things. You have got a level of creativity that can be used to delight and expand rather than just manage and structure. And I'm going to leave you with that. I'm getting tickled here. So I'm going to leave you with that, Leos, and much love. Take care.